Welcome back to another week of Power Rankings, where we look at the top players around Europe and assemble them into some sort of order. If you watched last week's, you'll know we have a completely new system in order made here at Onefootball. This takes the last 5 games that a player has played, puts it all together, and then comes out with some sort of 10 of the best players in Europe. So this week, will Sebastian Haller still be in the top 3? We have a new person at number 1, and oh, how some of the mighty have fallen. With all that said and done, let's get straight into our winners and losers of the week. So first off, we come to our losers of the week, and there's 2 of them this week. One of them remains in the top 10, and one of them is nowhere to be seen. First off is Sebastian Haller. The Frankfurt forward was in second last week due to his incredible form. However, at the weekend, he was pretty poor as Frankfurt lost 1-0. This meant that he's dropped down out of second position, but you'll find out where in a few minutes. As for the other loser of the week, I'm going to upset a few of you, but it's Cristiano Ronaldo. Last week, he was in 8th position after scoring a few goals for Real Madrid. However, after not playing so well in the weekend's victory over Inter Milan and playing terribly against Young Boys last night, things aren't looking so good for Ronaldo at the moment. In fact, his Juventus side are on the same amount of points at the end of the Champions League group stage as Real Madrid are, so they're probably no better or worse off without him. But for that, Ronaldo's out of the top 10 and he makes it onto our losers of the week. Very quickly, for our winner of the week, well, he's the new number 1 because he's a new entry and he's flown all the way into the top after some sparkling performances in the last 7 days. Of course, I won't be revealing who he is now, but stick around to the end of the video to find out who our winner and number 1 of the week is. First off, we start with number 10, where it's actually the same number 10 as last week, and it's Atletico Madrid's Antoine Griezmann. He had a fantastic game in the weekend, scoring a goal against Deportivo Alaves, and even though they managed a 0-0 against Club Brugge of Belgium, they were already safely through in the Champions League. This means that he wasn't actually that good, but he still just manages to keep his place. He hangs on to the number 10 position. Now in at number 9 is someone who's dropped down 2 places from number 7 last week, despite the fact he kept 2 clean sheets. However, for Virgil van Dijk and the rest of Liverpool's defence on Saturday, it wasn't really a test against Bournemouth as Salah ran ragged up front and saw them win 4-0. He did put in a good performance against Napoli, which saw Liverpool make the round of last 16. However, the follow-through on Dries Mertens was quite a sight for sore eyes, whether he meant it or not. So he's dropped down just a few on his average rating and finishes in 9th. Quick side note here, what do you think of that challenge? Let me know in the comment section whether you think he actually meant to follow through and hurt Mertens, or it was just because of the speed and the force at which he hit the ball. Moving on to number 8 and dropping down 4 places this week is Tottenham Hotspur's Harry Kane. This is because he only got a few minutes off the suspension in their 2-0 win against Leicester. However, he did pick his rating back up by putting in a solid performance up front, as Spurs unbelievably managed to draw at the Nou Camp and seal progression through to the last 16. This is because Inter Milan could only draw at home to PSV, and Harry Kane and Spurs will be in the draw come Monday. As for Kane, well, he did pretty well up front and even managed to get the assist for Lucas Moura in the 85th minute. So seeing as he didn't get on the score sheet himself, his rating actually drops down a little, but he's still in the top 10 at number 8. In at number 7 is Sebastian Haller. Now, we spoke about him previously dropping down, and it's because of that poor performance in Frankfurt's 1-0 loss. He does, however, have a chance to redeem himself tonight as Frankfurt take on Lazio in a bid to become the first ever German team to win all 6 of their group games in a European competition. This is the Europa League and the Champions League, and Bayern Munich have never done it, neither have Dortmund, so Frankfurt and Haller could write themselves into the history books and potentially back into the power rankings for next week's show. In at number 6 is a new entry who's absolutely flown into the power rankings. The more he plays, the more I actually expect him to see him within this top 10 list. Our number 6 is Kylian Mbappe. After scoring 2 goals, getting an assist and the man of the match against Red Star Belgrade, PSG finished top of their Champions League group and are miles ahead in Ligue 1. It's for this season he sits comfortably inside the top 10. However, none of the other PSG attacking line do. Not Neymar, not even Edinson Cavani, even though both of them both got on the score sheet. Now into number 5, where another new entry flies into the top 10, and I'm sure you'll all be delighted about it because he's been absolutely fantastic recently. After smashing in a hat-trick against Bournemouth, he got the winner against Napoli to send Liverpool through in the Champions League. Of course, it's Mohamed Salah. Now, a few questions were aimed at Salah in weeks previously about his work rate, about his team ethic, and his overall performance. However, he's answered the critics, and I'm not going to lie, I was one of them, with some stellar performances in the last week, so jumps into number 5. At number 4 is actually last week's number 1. Leroy Sané has dropped out the top 3, not because of his stellar performance in the Champions League where his 2 goals saw Man City top the group, but because of his poor performance away to Chelsea. Over the weekend, Manchester City lost their unbeaten record and even lost spot at the top of the table in the English Premier League. This because they lost to Chelsea and Leroy Sané really did not have his best of games. It was kind of out of character for him, seeing as how fantastic he has been in the last few weeks, hence why he was number 1 last week. But for this week, despite, as I mentioned earlier, grabbing 2 goals to see Man City through, he sits at number 4. So now we finally come to the top 3. 1, 2, 3, the gold, the silver, the bronze. Who is going to be top of our power rankings list this week? Well, of course, we're not going to start with number 1. That'd just be a bit weird. We're going to start with number 3, and he's actually up 2 places from number 5. It's Robert Lewandowski. Now, he scored 2 goals in Bayern Munich's 3-0 win at the weekend, and despite them throwing away a last-minute lead last night, he still managed to score 2 goals against Ajax in the Champions League. 4 goals in 2 games in a week. He's deservedly at number 3. He also now is the top goal scorer in this season's Champions League with 8 goals, meaning that if Bayern progress to the latter rounds, you could probably see him picking up the Golden Boot. Of course, his nearest rival is Lionel Messi, however, you'd expect us to be up there anyway, so I probably didn't even need to say that. However, talking of Lionel Messi, and he is up into number 2 this week. If any of you saw the match of the weekend, you'll know exactly why he takes his place as the runner-up in this week's power ranking. 2 goals, an assist, man of the match. Those 2 free kicks against Espanyol, the first time he's ever done it in a La Liga game, he was unbelievable. Having said that, he didn't actually do much against Spurs, but who cares about that? Barcelona were already through. The guy was fantastic in the derby at the weekend, and because of this, he's managed to add on to his previous week's ratings and climb into the number 2 spot. But he is beaten this week by one player, one person who, despite all his problems off the pitch with his attitude, with his tardiness, with everything, Ousmane Dembele is our number 1 this week in the Football Power Rankings. Now, even though Ernesto Valverde has been disappointed with Ousmane Dembele and his attitude in the last few weeks, he's still been playing him because he's still been doing the business on the pitch. He's got 3 assists, 2 goals, 2 Man of the Match awards in his last 5 games. His form has been absolutely incredible, and the Barcelona fans and coaches alike are now starting to see just why they paid so much money for him in the summer of 2017. Dortmund knew the kind of player they were getting rid of, but they also knew the kind of attitude they were getting rid of. If Dembele can crack this and turn into a mature, proper professional, I've no doubt he'll even be rivaling the likes of Mbappe for the Ballon d'Or in many years to come. As for this week, Ousmane Dembele takes his place at number 1. He wins the gold medal in the Football Power Rankings, but of course, you guys can let me know what you think. Who would have been your number 1 this week? Your top 3? Who would have been in the top 10? Who should have definitely not been in the top 10? Of course, let me know that and more in the comment section down below. Hit the like button whilst you're there, and you can click here to check out all of the other videos that we've got going on OneFootball. Until next time, I will see you guys later, and I will see you next Thursday for the next Power Rankings.